All right, everybody. So today we're going to be going over some of the Unit 1 vocab that we have. So let's start off with this word ratio. Ratio. So ratio is defined as the relationship between the size or amount of two things. It can be written like 1:4 or 1/4. It can be written as 0.25 or 25%. So it's simply just the relationship between the amounts of two things. So here we have there's 4 circles, and here we have 3 triangles. So we're talking about the relationship between how many circles there are and how many triangles there are. We write it like 4:3, like this style, or we can also write it as 4:2:3, using the word two, or we can write it like 4/3. 4/3. So that's ratio. Now let's talk about unit rate. Unit rate. So unit rate is defined as how much of something we have per 1 unit of something else. So it's kind of like a ratio, except we always are comparing many of one thing to only one of something else. So here we have a speed limit is an example of a unit rate, because this speed limit, it signifies the most amount of kilometers that you can go in 1 hour. The most amount of kilometers that you're allowed to go per 1 hour. And what makes this a unit rate is it's 1 hour. If this were 2 hours or 3 hours, this would no longer be a unit rate. So a unit rate has to be how much of something we have per 1 unit of something else. Now, fraction. Fraction is defined as 1 part of a whole. So it's just part of a whole. Here we have a fraction on this left side. This is 1 part of a whole of 2. And down here we have 1 part of a whole of 4. Over here, these are not fractions. These are not how you write fractions. 0.5 is not a fraction, and 25% is not a fraction. It has to be written as something over something else. And again, it's 1 part of a whole. So if you have 3 pieces of cake left out of a cake that originally had 4, you have 3 parts of the whole cake left. Very good. Okay, now let's talk about a numerator. Numerator. A numerator is defined as the top number in a fraction. So here we have a fraction, and we know because it's written as something over something else. And the top number in green here, this is called the numerator. It's the top number in a fraction. Here we have the denominator. This is the opposite of a numerator. This is defined as the bottom number of a fraction. So here we have, this is a fraction, and here we have this y is in the bottom of this fraction. It's below the x. And this y is the denominator because it's in the bottom of a fraction. And our last word is ratio table. So a ratio table is a structured list of equivalent or equal value ratios that help us understand the relationship between the ratios and the numbers. So for example, If we remember that a ratio describes how many of one thing we have to how many of another thing, we say in this table just describes at any given point how many blue circles we have and how many yellow triangles we have. So to start off, we have 4 blue circles and 3 yellow triangles. Then we move over a column and we have 8 blue circles and 6 yellow triangles. However, the relationship stays the same. We add 4 to the top and add 3 to the bottom, and we have 8 to 6. Move over one column, we add 4 more to the top, we add 3 more to the bottom, and we have 12 blue circles to 9 yellow triangles. And finally, we add 4 again to the top and 3 again to the bottom, and we see 16 blue circles to 12 yellow triangles. So this is just a list of equivalent ratios that helps us understand the relationship between the ratios of blue circles to yellow triangles.